Welcome to the Live Tap. I'm your host, Damian Traylor, and today's a special day for me. After many weeks and months brainstorming whether I want to start a podcast or not, I finally come to the terms that it would be a great idea. So for those of you who are tuning in, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm from Marietta, Georgia, and I decided to come to Piedmont University, and I want to say 2022. So I'm a sophomore here now at Piedmont. Last year I was a freshman, and I had a great year overall last year as a freshman. I finished my freshman year with a 3.6 GPA. I got to learn under my boss for my game day operations job here at Piedmont University, Daniel Percival. I broadcasted last year, and all of that was fun. I broadcasted specifically for basketball though, because that's the sport I played in high school, and I just decided, this upcoming summer that I would be interested in creating a podcast, and I just didn't know what to do exactly until I talked to my parents, friends, family, and my boss about it. But I am here today, and today I'm creating a podcast, and this is my first episode, so it's going to be labeled the pilot episode, of course. And yeah, so that's that for me, and I'm just hoping everybody who's tuning in right now is just, they mess with the pod. I've really been working hard on this for many weeks, months at that. And I'm here now. But my dream job when I first stopped playing basketball, when I realized my career was going to be over, I was kind of just brainstorming about what I want to do next as a career, because, the NBA, that was very far gone. So I was just thinking, what would I want to do? And I used to wake up every morning, and I used to tune in to ESPN, and I used to watch Get Up with Mike Greenberg and Jalen Rose, and then I go after that, they have First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Clark and Dan Orlovsky and Marcus Spears, people like that. And I was like, dang, I think I can do that, because I would say I'm outgoing. I'm an outgoing person. I'm very open to talk to anybody. You could be a 2-year-old or you could be a 85-year-old man or woman. It doesn't matter to me. I'm open to talk to anybody. So I was and I love sports, specifically basketball and football. I'm very into college football, college basketball, NBA, NFL. I've been bedazzling a little bit in other sports like MLB, volleyball, soccer. I got friends on this campus who, play those type of sports, so I'm always around those type of sports. Lately I've been trying to get a little bit into volleyball and lacrosse. I'm just trying to expand my knowledge of sports. So that's what I've been doing. I actually been watching the baseball playoffs lately. That's been very interesting. I don't really know what's going on in baseball, though, because baseball for me has always been boring. I never really cared like that, but, I've talked to people, and I got friends that are in those sports and played those sports. My best friend, actually, he played baseball in high school. So, that's that. But basically, my dream job is to be a sports broadcaster or a sports analyst for, a big sports company. But since COVID, I've been watching specifically sports podcasts. I was stuck in the house during COVID, and it was basically nothing to do but to watch just YouTube for real. So I used to watch podcasts like All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, or Knuckleheads with Quentin and I forgot the guy's name, but I used to watch Knuckleheads podcast, and I used to watch Gilbert Arenas podcast that he used to do with Fubu Sports. So, people like them, even though they're former athletes or whatever, they inspired me because they're people like me, and they are talking about sports, and they're getting a lot of good feedback from it, and they interview other athletes who I used to admire, and from there I just been wanting to do a podcast. I just didn't never know, I never really had the courage to, because I didn't know where to start, and I didn't know how I'll be able to do it, and I didn't really know what all goes into creating a podcast. So that's that. But yeah, I work for the game operations crew, like I said earlier. Basically what I do is, I just work sports events, whether that's being the ball boy or working the scoreboard or broadcasting. But, basketball season hasn't really started yet, so I haven't been broadcasting lately. But I have been pre-recording little audios on this little podcast, in this podcast studio at Piedmont here with my friends and stuff. So I might release those. I don't know yet. It just was a little pre-practice for the live tap podcast that I'm doing right now. So basically, being a game day operations crew person, I'm always around athletes, like all day, every day. And being around athletes gave me extra motivation to start the Live Tap podcast. Basically, my podcast, Live Tap, is about getting to know athletes, getting to know what they do in their sport, getting to know the mental side of their sport, and just having fun and chill conversations. Nothing too crazy. I'm pretty cool with every athlete on this campus, or I know of them. I either know them or know of them. So, getting to catch up with them and actually getting to know them on a personal, even more personal level, that's really, that means a lot to me, and that's really fun for me to, do as a host. My podcast episodes will usually drop either once or twice every week, depending if we got like a break or anything, like in the school year or anything. We just came off fall break like a week and a half ago, so I was going to start my podcast actually before, but I totally forgot. I've been so busy, I lost track of time and forgot we had fall break. So I got 2 people coming on the pod next week, 2 athletes specifically. I have Piedmont junior softball player Riley Erickson and senior volleyball player Jessica Sconyers. Both of them will be coming on the pod next week. I'm going to interview Riley on Tuesday, and I'm going to interview Jessica on Thursday. And also, to every athlete that I get opportunity to interview and meet with, I want to thank you guys prior to you guys coming in here, because I know you guys are all athletes, have busy schedules, and I appreciate you guys taking time out your guys' day to stop by and chit chat with Damien, myself, and it means a lot to me. I know pretty much we're all cool or all friends, and I just want to say thank you guys and prior. It really means a lot. So now, the podcast will also not just be about me interviewing athletes. It will also be me talking about sports, that's going around in the world, anything major or anything like that, like NFL, NBA, college football, college basketball. I might even throw a little baseball in there or soccer. I got people that I talk to, and they be talking about other sports that I'm not really into, but I'll entertain it, because I'm trying to build a brand here, so that's that. But before I get to any sports that's been going on recently in the world, we're going to have a little break to talk about the American Red Cross services. In times of crisis, the American Red Cross is there for the men and women of the United States Armed Forces and their families, from communicating messages during emergencies to outreach to the National Guard and reserves. To veterans' assistance and military hospital visits, the Red Cross provides vital services. Support the Red Cross service to the armed forces and change a life, starting with your own. To find out how you can help, visit www.redcross.org or contact your local American Red Cross chapter. Thank you. Welcome back, Live Tap family, and now we're on to the sports. We're going to first start with the NCAA football. Week 7 was last week, and we had some pretty interesting games. We had Utah getting upset by Arizona State. Utah was ranked 16th. They lost to Arizona State at Arizona State, and quarterback Cam Rising once again went down with an injury, as it's been a very hard season for him. He's been injured, I want to say, out of the 7 weeks, 5 out of the 7 weeks he's been injured, and it's kind of bad because Utah paid him a lot of NIL money. Texas annihilated Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. Quinn Ewers came back from injury, abdominal injury, and threw for 199 yards and a couple touchdowns as Texas won 34-3. The big game that everybody was watching last week was Ohio State at Oregon. Oregon escaped by 1 point with Dylan Gabriel throwing 341 yards and their top receiver being Evan Stewart with 149 receiving yards. As Oregon beat Ohio State 32-31 in that game. Penn State versus USC. Penn State won by 3 points after being down 10 plus. Penn State took USC to overtime and won the game there with Drew Aller, quarterback, throwing 391 yards in that game. Georgia bouncing back, beating Mississippi State by 10 points, 41-31 with Carson Beck, quarterback, throwing 459 yards. And Alabama, they beat South Carolina by 2 points, 27-25, in a very close game that I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of a Bama fan lately. I'm a big LSU fan, don't get me wrong. But I've been a big Bama fan, and if I'm a Bama fan as myself, I'll be a little nervous. Lately, Alabama has been, I want to say they've been kind of slacking after the Georgia win. Alabama lost to Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt, and then they just beat South Carolina by 2 points. But if anybody watched that game, South Carolina had a chance to win because they got the ball back after successfully receiving the onside kick. And they were in field goal. They had a chance to get in field goal range, but Alabama luckily clutched up with a game-winning pick and, sealed the game there. On to the next game in the SEC, Tennessee versus Florida. Tennessee beat Florida by 6 points as they went to overtime as Nico Iamaleava threw for 169 yards in that game. And another big game, my LSU Tigers, we beat the Ole Miss Rebels in overtime with the game-winning touchdown pass by Garrett Nussmeier to the great receiver, as they call him, GOAT in LSU, Kyron Lacy. And that game was very big for LSU as they improved our record to 5-1 after the first loss to USC. LSU has bounced back in a major way, and that was a big win for us to get back in the college football playoff talks, beating a top 10 team in Ole Miss. And Clemson, they have been on fire since their first week 1 loss to Georgia as they annihilated Wake Forest 49-14 with quarterback Cade Klubnik throwing 309 yards. Colorado, sadly, they lost by 3 points. Kansas State, had a game-winning field goal basically, and Colorado never really scored after that. Kansas State won 31-28 with Shedeur Sanders throwing 338 yards for the Buffaloes, but that could not help the Buffaloes win. And Travis Hunter also left the game in the second quarter with an injury that was later revealed not that serious, as he is available to play this upcoming weekend for the Buffaloes against Arizona. And that is that for the NCAA. Now on to the NFL. And it is NFL Week 7, and today is Thursday, October 17th, so you know what that means. We have Thursday Night Football tonight. Tonight we have the Broncos against my New Orleans Saints at 8:15 tonight. Sadly, I don't even know who's going to win that game, to be honest with you, because we have two rookie quarterbacks going against each other. Derek Carr is out with an oblique injury, and the Saints are dang near an infirmary at this point. Chris Olave is out with a concussion. Taysom Hill is out with ankle injury. And then Rashid Shaheed, the deep threat for our team, he's supposedly supposed to be getting knee surgery today. And it might be a season-ending injury for him. So, sadly, I don't want to say the Saints are going to lose because we do have Alvin Kamara still. But, the defense is probably going to be their game plan is probably focused all on Alvin Kamara. So, I probably just stay out of that conversation for that game, because I don't want to hurt my feelings. Anyways, we have other games in Week 7 going on. We have the Falcons and the Seahawks. We got the Lions and the Vikings. The Vikings have been off to a hell of a start. I want to say they're 5-1, if I'm not mistaken. They're either 5-1 and 6-0. And then the Lions, they've been great. They just came off a win last week against the Cowboys, obliterated the Cowboys, actually. And then we got the Browns and the Bengals. We have the Dolphins and the Colts. We got the Texans and the Packers. That's a big game. Jordan Love versus C.J. Stroud, the battle of the young quarterbacks. And, we got, the Super Bowl rematch. That's a 4 o'clock game. I'm pretty sure that's America's Game of the Week on Fox. We got the Chiefs and the 49ers. Even though Christian McCaffrey isn't playing and Isaiah Pacheco for the Chiefs isn't playing, it's still a big game, It's a Super Bowl rematch, and everybody wants to see that game. And then Sunday Night Football, we got the Jets versus Steelers. The Jets actually just acquired Devontae Adams, wide receiver from the Raiders. He's an All-Pro. He gets to team up back with his buddy Aaron Rodgers after they played 7 seasons together with the Packers in Green Bay. And they reunite on Sunday Night Football, which is going to be a great game. And then NFL has two Monday Night Football games for us this week. We got the Ravens and the Buccaneers, and then we got the Chargers and the Cardinals. In my opinion, I'm probably going to watch the Ravens and the Buccaneers. The Chargers and the Cardinals is kind of unless you're a fan of those teams, that's kind of a weak Monday night game. They really could have put that on the 1 o'clock schedule slate. Sadly, I'm sad, man, as a Saints fan. It's been really bad for us. We started out 2-0, and we have been on a 4-game losing skid since Derek Carr went down, and then now Olave has a concussion, and Shaheed has to get surgery. And last week, it was horrible because Spencer Rattler couldn't really throw a pass like that. Although he's a rookie, it was his first game. That's understandable, but still, that's very sad to see as a Saints fan. But we have a little QB controversy in Pittsburgh right now, as Russell Wilson is now back healthy enough to play football this week. But Justin Fields, who was doing pretty good in, Wilson's absence, the Steelers are 4-2 right now with Justin Fields. In my opinion, because of the Steelers' weak offensive line, I would have kept Fields behind there because Fields is young and he uses his legs a lot. His legs was a big addition to the offense that Russell Wilson can't provide because Russell Wilson is not a mobile quarterback. At least is not as mobile as Justin Fields is. So in my opinion, I believe Russell Wilson should stay on the bench a little bit until Justin Fields shows that they might need Russell Wilson back in the lineup. But we are all interested as NFL fans to see whether Justin Fields or Russell Wilson is going to start this week. I would hope Justin Fields starts this week because I got Justin Fields on my fantasy team and I need those points because I'm playing one of my friends right now, and bragging rights is very big. For anybody out there who has any friends and you guys are in a kind of a competition, bragging rights is very big. So I need those bragging rights for the next couple weeks until we play each other, and I want to say week 13. So that's that. Now, before I head to the NBA, we are going to have another break. Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape and it's a crime. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline to talk to someone who can explain your options. Call 1-800-656-HOPE or visit rain.org. You can help somebody stop this violent crime by letting your voice be heard. And now on to the NBA. Right now it's preseason time in the NBA as we are about to enter the regular season next week, October 22nd, with matchups on Tuesday next week. The New York Knicks will be playing at the Boston Celtics, and then the Minnesota Timberwolves will be playing the Los Angeles Lakers. In my opinion, I believe Boston will probably win, and I got Minnesota winning that second game. I think Boston's going to win because it's a ring night for them, and they probably got the most chemistry in the NBA because all of the people that helped win the championship last year are returning this year. So they've got all the chemistry. I think actually Boston's probably going to repeat as champions this year. New York, they just traded away 2 major pieces of their team in Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, so they traded him to the Timberwolves too. So I don't know if the New York Knicks are going to be at full capacity, as in like ready to win because of the pieces they just traded away. They did get Karl Anthony Towns back though in that deal. That's a great player. Karl Anthony Towns is a walking 20 and 10 player as well. And I think Mitchell Robinson, their starting center, is not starting the season healthy this year either. I don't even think he's playing next Tuesday. So that's that. And then on to Minnesota and Los Angeles. I don't know, man. I'll probably have to go with Minnesota. Anthony Edwards is a dog. And they got great rookies in Rob Dillingham and Terrence Edwards. And they got great pieces in Dante DiVincenzo. You know, Dante's a plug-and-play guy. You know, you can put him in any system. Dante's a great shooter. And, you know, I think Julius Randle is a great piece, too, to go with Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert, he's a defensive player. But, yeah, I think I'm going to say that after every podcast episode, probably, like, let's be great today. Well, everybody, Live Tap family, you guys have a great Thursday. Have a great weekend. And we will be back next Tuesday with Riley Erickson episode, Piedmont softball player. And again, let's be great today, guys.
Let's go.